What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about who's most likely going to be traded at the deadline, and we're going to look at some Tyus Jones trade ideas next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again with my guy, the real Ed Oliver. Thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. And today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's PrizePicks.com/promo code Locked On. So, today we are going to talk about who are the candidates who's most likely to be moved at the deadline, and we're going to look at some Tyus Jones trade ideas. So we're going to slide right into it. So looking at the deadline now, I know it's a little early, but obviously we both said that there needs to be consolidation trades. So if they hold on to these vets, who are some names that you're looking at who could be dealt at the deadline, and what kind of packages do you see us getting in return for them?
Yeah, that was a good question by Hubba's Nugga 8873 on YouTube. He said who's most likely to be traded: Kyle Kuzma, Tyus Jones, or Jordan Poole, etc. It could be Muscala, Gallinari, Landry Shamet. That's a good question, man. It's tough, but I'll say I don't think Jordan Poole gets traded at the deadline. I think they keep him this year and they see what they can get from him this year and the year after. I could definitely see Kyle Kuzma being traded at the trade deadline if he plays well. I could see a contender or a playoff team looking for him for his services to give them a scoring punch and a point forward, a guy who can get to the rim, can get to the basket and create shots for other guys and create shots for himself. And then Landry Shamet, we heard the Heat were possibly interested in involving him in the Damian Lillard trade if it becomes a 3-team or 4-team, 5-team trade or whatever. Same thing with Gallinari. Muscala, we haven't really seen or heard much. He would probably be added to a deal. So I really think you could really just group all these guys together, honestly. I do think Tyus Jones is going to be traded at the trade deadline. I think he's a guy that definitely could be traded at the trade deadline. I think DeLon Wright is also a guy, too. You can't forget about him. I think he gets traded at the trade deadline because he's in a contract year, and they definitely want to get something for him. I think most likely you probably get a second-round pick at best, kind of like Monte Morris. But I think you get a second-round pick and maybe a player, because I think you get more than what you got from Monte. Not much more, but I think teams will look at DeLon as more valuable because he's a darn good defender. He's a really good defender. So I think you can get something for him. And then Tyus Jones, I think a lot of teams are going to be looking for his services too. We heard the Spurs were interested in him, or the Timberwolves were interested. I can see some other teams definitely be interested in him as well because he's a good backup point guard. He's a really good backup point guard. When Ja got hurt, or Ja Morant was hurt or suspended, Tyus Jones has always stepped up and played really, really well. He's a good professional. I think he's going to start this year, and I think they're going to be able to showcase what he can do. Doesn't turn the ball over much. Gets a good amount of assists. Can shoot the 3-ball well. Doesn't turn the ball over. Can get guys in the sets. Kind of a steady Eddie guy. Good floater. He's kind of in that Monte range, but I think he's a more effective player than what Monte Morris is. And definitely very consistent. And when he gets more playing time and more shots, he's more aggressive. And I think he can score more. So I think Tyus Jones is going to be able to showcase his skills a little bit more instead of being behind Ja Morant. So I think he's going to get his trade value up. But I would just group all of them all together. I think DeLon is certainly going to be traded before the trade deadline, and Tyus Jones as well, and Muscala and Gallo and Shamet. I think all of them honestly will be traded at the trade. If I had to put money down, I think all of them would trade it. But I would rank DeLon first, then Shamet number 2, then Tyus Jones number 3, and then I think all of them are pretty similar. Like Gallo, Muscala, I think all of them are pretty similar in their trade chances, honestly.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think all of them are definitely they definitely got a chance to get moved to the deadline because we got to send some of these aspiring deals out and get some assets from them. You know, DeLon, like you said, because he's so dope on the defensive end and he can stretch forward, he can shoot. He definitely can give some value. Now, you know, I'm with you. It's not going to be much more than what we got from Monte. Second round pick, maybe young guy back. Shemet, I can easily see all of them. And you very well could see a consolidation trade before the regular season starts because, I think Rollins showed that he's the backup point guard of the future. So, I don't think they're so hesitant to move DeLon right after the summer league. And I get a summer league, summer league's one of those things where, it's too small of a sample size. You're not really going against NBA starters yet, but I saw enough from Rollins that I'm very intrigued to see what he can do as a backup point guard going forward. Same thing with Patrick Baldwin. He's very, very, very raw, but I would like to see with minutes what he can do with the 4 on the second unit. So yeah, we definitely got to show up, man. Now, areas that we need, man. If we indeed want this to be a competitive rebuild, we need a center. So, whether because, none against Gav, man, but Gav's not the guy, going forward. He's not that guy. Now, he is right now. He's a good stopgap. But if we have aspirations to move this team into a competitive nature, man, then we got to find a big who's a little more, so I hate to say that, man. I really do because I like Gav, but we definitely need a center going forward. So we need to look at that. Point guard, we're not really in a rush right now. So it's just we have options. We were talking about starting Tyus over Jordan Poole. I think we have a good problem at point guard because number one, Wes, he can kind of game plan. We really don't have to pencil somebody in for starting point guard. You look at certain matchups and we can, you can easily see Tyus start games here and there. You can see Jordan Poole start, at starting point guard here and there. So he's got a lot of options as far as where he can kind of throw guys together. Because, we said this the last couple of years with a lot of players in the roster where, Denny can play the 3 and the 4. Kispert can play the 2 and 3. You have a lot of options. So you're not necessarily going to see, like it is in baseball where you have a clean cut concrete lineup card. Nah, you can easily see, like I said, depending on the matchup, Jordan, especially, if you look at matchups where we want to push the pace, could see Jordan Poole starting. Like you said, Tyus Jones, I think, is a better player than Monte, but not too much. But I think that, he shows up the areas that we need, where Monte just couldn't push the pace, man. And that is the issue that we've had the last couple of years is we need a point guard who's going to push the pace. We had Ish, of all people, we had Ish Smith, it looked good because we were pushing the pace. You know what I'm saying? So we have options, D. We can very well see, Tyus start here. You can see Jordan Poole start. We have a lot of options. But, I definitely think that we need to make a consolidation trade before the regular season starts because Muscala, man, I don't see Muscala getting moved because, how much faith do they have in Vucevic if he indeed is able to play in the NBA? I don't see them really. I don't think they're ready to really pencil him in at backup yet. So you might see Muscala stick around to the deadline. Shemet, if you want to really develop Johnny Davis and Bilal, you're going to have to move Shemet. That's why I think he could be moved before the regular season starts because why have a rebuild when, you got two guys that aren't going to get playing time? No, Bilal Coulibaly and Johnny Davis both need playing time. So, I think most of them will be gone by the deadline because we definitely need to get assets and we definitely need to kind of thin out the herd. But, Tyus, I know there's a lot of debate right now with who's going to start a point guard, but again, I think that there's not so much pressure in saying, oh, here's your guy for the year. No, like I said, on the matchup, you could see both of them start. So we have options, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can definitely talk about the starting point guard in another episode too. I just look at Tyus and I think he's a guy that can settle down the troops, a veteran, can shoot the 3, can get to the basket with the floater. And Jordan Poole at the point, I like him at the point, but a lot of turnovers come with him at the point. He averaged 3 turnovers per game last year. So he turns the ball over at a high rate, but he gets to the basket, he can really score. So I wouldn't mind him being point guard, but you just got to keep that in mind. And Tyus Jones is a guy that can settle the troops down, and I think they're going to need that a little bit. But like I said, I group all these guys in the same with Gallo, Muscala. You're not going to get much from Muscala, so you're going to have to add him to a deal. Kuzma, he like I said, he may get traded, and he may get traded before the trade deadline. It definitely could happen. If they can get a first for him, they certainly should do it. I feel like they definitely could have got a first for him last year before the trade deadline. But Tommy decided not to do that, and they try to go in for the play-in, and we got Kuz now. So I think they got him on a good deal, and I think he's on a good contract, so they can definitely trade him for a first round pick. I feel like you can definitely get a first for him. Everybody else, you're looking at a second round pick. And a few players are just a second round pick straight up.
Yeah, I agree. Kuzma, he is a curious case, man, because look, they got those new luxury courtside seats, man. You need somebody to sell the tickets, man. So I can see Kuzma staying beyond this year because he's a fan favorite and leadership and look, they'll be fun to watch. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm ready to see Kuz move yet, man. But yeah, I mean, it's weird because I believe there should be a consolidation trade. In the same sentence, man, you can see a lot of them staying to the deadline. Necessarily not being moved before the regular season because Gallo, they're not ready, and I'm not ready for Patrick Baldwin to be that guy for the second unit. So I think Gallinari sticks to the deadline, but. The thing is just getting assets in return for a lot of these vets, man. And with this front office, I have all the confidence in the world with this front office, man. Because again, if it was Tommy Shepard, I'd be a little scared right now. But
and one thing I'll say too, sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
If you listen to the Off the Bench podcast with Chris Miller, who was on the show before, and Will Dawkins, the GM, he did say that he liked a lot of things for Tyus Jones. He sat down with Tyus Jones in the summer league, and he liked Tyus Jones' leadership. So Will Dawkins likes Tyus Jones. He's going to get a lot of playing time. He did talk about Muscala too in the interview. He brought their names up, Muscala and Shamet, and he said good things about those guys too. So they're gonna play. I don't think they're gonna get traded just yet. But before the trade deadline, I definitely feel like something will happen at the trade deadline.
Yeah, it's gonna be a busy deadline for the Wizards for sure, man. So we're gonna talk about Tyus Jones. We were just talking about Tyus, man, but we got some trade ideas for Tyus. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. So you're asking yourself, how does it work? Well, easy. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they go score more or less than their PrizePicks projections, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. That's right, 25 times your money on any entry. No competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you can watch. This includes the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NHL, PGA golf, college football, men's and women's college basketball, soccer, the WNBA, esports, NASCAR, tennis, MMA, boxing, disc golf, Euro basketball, cricket, and more. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. Safe and fast withdrawals. Currently operational over 30 states and our neighbors to the north in Canada. Download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On to sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. And thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. Every day, tomorrow on the show, we're going to do more mailbag questions. We're going to answer all your questions about lineups, what the division is going forward. I know a lot of you are interested and excited for the regular season to start. I mean, basketball and football coming up, man. So I'm definitely excited. So definitely tune in. So getting into, we got a couple of trade ideas for Tyus Jones, and we're going to slide into the first one real quick. And this is from Dealante, former host of Locked On Wizards. Definitely shout out to Dealante. He brought up a trade where is Tyus Jones and Corey Kispert going to the Chicago Bulls, in return for Patrick Williams, I'm drawing a blank, Dalen Terry, and 2026 second round pick. So what do you think about this trade proposal?
Yeah. So he brought this up from Bleacher Report. Tyus Jones, Corey. I just got to look at it again. So it's Tyus Jones and Corey Kispert for Pat Williams, Dalen Terry, 2026 second round pick. So yeah, I'm definitely saying a no on this one, a capital N on this one for sure. I'm not giving up Corey and Tyus for Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams is a rotational player, probably at best. I mean, he starts for the Bulls, but at best he's a rotational player, really, on a championship team. A guy that comes off the bench, a good defender. Not much, doesn't have really much of an offensive bag or offensive game right now. So I'm definitely not trading Corey Kispert for him. And I think Corey Kispert, it can be a 50-40-90 guy. Shot almost 40% from the three this past season, 88% from the free throw line, and it was a great shooter this past season, especially when Brad and Kuz sat in the last half of the season. Like, he was lighting it up. He had like 28 points against the Rockets the last game of the season. Only played like 20 minutes or something like that. He was going crazy. Now defensively, yes, Corey has a lot to be desired, but offensive, I think he's coming along. I think he's becoming a really, really good movement shooter in this league. So Dalen Terry, he's struggling. He's been struggling coming out the gate. So he's been slow with his development. He's struggled in the summer. I know it's the summer league, but he's struggled in the summer league. Like, his best game was against us, and that was like the last game of the summer league. So I'm definitely not really, and I like Dalen Terry coming out of Arizona, but no, I'm not giving up Tyus Jones, Corey Kispert for Pat Williams, Dalen Terry, and a 2026 second round pick. I feel like you can definitely get something better than that. Like, Pat Williams is a mid-tier player at this point right now. So I'm definitely turning that trade down.
Yeah, it at first glance,
and I wouldn't even do Corey Kispert for Pat Williams straight up. Like I wouldn't even do that.
No, I mean at first glance it's hard to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say this: with this being a rebuilding team, if you could, here's the thing with Patrick Williams. The defense is there, man.
Yeah.
He's got the tools offensively. It's just if you look at the situation in Chicago, he's easily was a fourth or fifth option. With a lot of guys who shoot. I think in a situation where he can get touches, if you can unlock the offensive side, I wouldn't be unhappy. But again, I'm not ready to part ways with Corey Kispert. It ain't happening. Not for Patrick Williams. Now, but I wouldn't mind seeing Patrick Williams because, like I said, the defense is there. I mean, with a rebuilding team, he's going to get touches. He's going to get playing time. But then again, I just don't like who we're sending over there. Tyus and Corey Kispert. So yeah, it's going to have to be a no. But I'm going to say this, man. With a rebuilding team, if we can find that one piece, that maybe get a first rounder, and it depends on how bad Chicago wants to offload him. Because if they really want him gone, then throw a first round pick on there, and then we definitely take him. Because I think that I'm getting a little PTSD from all these second round picks. We need a couple of first round picks, man. So I had no problem with picking up a bad contract. There's been people saying Ben Simmons. I get it, man. I get it. Most people when they hear that name Ben Simmons, you're already like, man, get out of here. But you throw a first round pick. And see if we can work with him, then I have no problem with that. Patrick Williams, he can definitely defend at a high level. It's just when I look at players, man, I look at what situation they're in. If you look at Chicago, man, you got DeRozan, you had Lonzo Ball, which obviously he's hurt. You had Vucevic, you had a lot of guys who need the ball, so he didn't necessarily have those touches. So I'm thinking, because I'm trying to see how old is Patrick Williams? Do you know?
He was in the same class with Denny, if I'm not mistaken. They're kind of in the same career trajectory where they're better defenders than they are on the offense side of the ball. So I want to say he was drafted not like, let me see what pick he was, but I know he was picked right before Denny. He was the fourth pick in the 2020 draft. Denny was picked 9. Obi Toppin was picked 10. So they're all kind of like mid-tier players. Like they're okay players.
Yeah.
But you just don't see really star potential or all-star potential from Pat Williams, Denny, or Obi Toppin at this point.
Yeah, like I said,
Pat Williams is kind of similar to what Denny's doing. Like Pat Williams, he's averaging 10 points a game, 4 boards. Denny's giving you about 8 points a game. So they're kind of similar in a sense. Like good defenders, 6'7". He's 6'7", 215. Denny's about 6'9". So they're kind of in that same range of talent.
Yeah. And then we were talking about before the show, man. You don't want too many guys who can play defense and can't shoot. So everybody, but again, he's very intriguing. He's still young, but like you said, there's what you just said is kind of a reason not to get him because his game is so similar to Denny. You don't want two guys who are at that age, but plus, same draft class, so you got to choose between those two who you're going to pay as far as if you decide to extend one of them. So I get it; it'll create a mess, but it's definitely intriguing. It brings up a good idea that. I have no problem with them taking on a bad contract if it indeed brings us a first, especially a young guy, man. So we're gonna look at another trade. This one is in our division to the Orlando Magic. So let me pull up this trade real quick. This trade, which is put through by Bleacher Report, has the Magic sending us Jonathan Isaac, Chuma Okeke, and Detroit's 2026 second round pick for Tyus Jones and Mike Muscala. What do you think?
Jonathan Isaac, man, just so many injuries. Oh my gosh. Pat Williams, I'm actually looking at some of his numbers, and he shot 41% from the 3-point line last year, which is not bad. Off of 3 attempts, this is not much, 10 points a game. So not bad, but yeah, I'm not really looking for Pat Williams because he's just so similar to Denny, in my opinion. But Jonathan Isaac, my goodness, like he's so talented. He was the 6th pick of the draft and had so much potential coming out of Florida State, but man, he's played. So he didn't play in the 2021 season because of ACL injury. Didn't play in the 2022 season because of an ACL injury, and then didn't play. He played in 11 games in the 2023 season. So I can't get any more injured guys. I can't, we just can't bring over injuries. So many injuries. I know we're in a rebuilding phase. I get it. So a reclamation project, this is the time to do it. Or taking a big swing on a project. We took a big swing on Bilal. Because we're in a rebuilding process. We're not getting a guy that we want is like a high floor kind of guy. We got a high like a high floor. We got a high ceiling guy in Bilal. Jonathan Isaac could be a reclamation project if he can stay healthy. He's a guy that can stretch the floor, 6'11", long wingspan, can run the floor, athletic. but how athletic is he after missing 2 or 3 seasons? So I think you can do better than that for Tyus Jones. I'm not saying you can get a great deal back for Tyus Jones, but I feel like you can get something a little bit better than that. So you get Jonathan Isaac, and what was it, like a second round pick or something like that?
Yeah, it was Detroit's 2026.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, I think it's gonna be a player in a second round pick for what you're gonna get for Tyus. But I'm not getting Jonathan Isaac. I just can't trust the medicals on him.
Yeah, it's this is a weird one, man. Because one, I don't see how it helps Orlando. How many? I mean, they got that. This will have them having 5 point guards. How many point guards do they need in Orlando, man? I see. They need to offload a couple of point guards. To be honest with you, Jonathan Isaac, yeah, he's been major injured all the time, man, and he's been synonymous for all the wrong reasons. So, but like I said, with with Patrick Williams. Give me a first round pick, absolutely. First round pick and a young player, absolutely. Because I know Orlando's been trying to get him off the books for a couple of years now. So if I'm the Wizards, I'm saying, yeah, absolutely, I'll bring him to DC. Give me a first round pick. Because I think this front office, man, they got to get a little tricky with these assets, man. Let people know that, hey, you want to offload them, cool. But if you want him to be our problem, first round pick. I think that's how they're going to do it, man, because these guys are some wizards, no pun intended. And in the front office, man, they know how to work that magic, man. Every move they made this offseason is for a reason. People are saying, a lot of people were down about us bringing back Kyle Kuzma, but it's chess, not checkers, man. There's a reason. If you look at his salary, this is probably one of the best team friendly contracts in the NBA. So you definitely, man, look. When it comes to playoff time, a contender's going to want Kyle Kuzma, and they're definitely going to. And like you said, I'm with you. I think we could definitely get a first round pick for Kuzma, absolutely. Because if you look at it, what players if you look at the Gobert trade, that just changed the whole landscape when it comes to trades in the NBA. So I think we could definitely get a first for Kyle Kuzma. So yeah, these are a couple of I guess positive way, intriguing trade ideas for Tyus Jones. I just don't see us moving on from. I think we definitely need a consolidation trade, but I don't see him being moved before the season starts, man. I just don't. And we were talking about Muscala and Gallinari. I don't see them being moved before the season starts because again, we need to show up to 5 and we need to show up to 4. So there are a couple of good ideas, man. Akiki, he's not bad for Orlando. Given playing time, I think he can be a decent guy to play the 3 and the 4. But yeah, I mean, Orlando is a very intriguing trade partner, man, because they have some young talent. So yeah, I would definitely take Jonathan Isaac. I get it, the injuries, I get it, reclamation project. I agree 100%. But I'm getting the first round pick and a young guy out of there. And I'm definitely catching one of those point guards, whether it's Cole Anthony, whether it's Markelle Fultz, who's actually from the DMV. I'm saying bring him home. Bring him home. So yes, it's intriguing, man. But I would have to kind of twist the trade around a little bit because Okiki's not enough, man. And second round picks, I get it. They have value, but we need to start trying to acquire first round picks. We need to start looking at first rounders. So yeah, they're both intriguing, but I'm gonna have to say no to both, man.
Yeah, I just don't think we're gonna get a first for Tyus. I think at best we'll get a second round pick and a player. And then Jonathan, he's making about $17 million per year. Looking at his contract on Spot Rack, I don't think they'll attach a first to Jonathan Isaac, or I don't think the Bulls will attach a first to Pat Williams. I would love for that to happen, but I think at best we'll just get a second round pick attached.
Yeah, I mean, I agree when it comes to Patrick Williams, but I mean, how bad do they want to get rid of Jonathan Isaac? I'm just saying, look, the Wizards under Grunfeld, man, we send first round picks out every year, man. So how bad do you want them gone? I can see us maybe getting a first round pick if we indeed take on Jonathan Isaac's contract because they want him off the books. I know that for the last couple of years, they've been desperately trying to get him off the books, man, because they have a lot of young talent that they're going to need to re-sign. And that contract right now is kind of holding them back a little bit from re-signing a lot of these young guys in long-term deals. So, yeah, those are a couple of really, really good trade proposals, but I'm going to have to say no, man. So before we roll, man, you got anything else you want to talk about before we roll out?
Nope. Those are some interesting deals from Bleacher Report and Sports Illustrated. But the Bulls one, yeah, I definitely wouldn't do that one.
No, we're gonna have to say no to that one, man. So, all right, everybody, appreciate everybody. Definitely, look, we're gonna do a lot of mailbag. I know everybody's excited and inquisitive about the lineups. We are too. So definitely send us your best questions, man. We are definitely gonna do a lot of mailbag this off season because we are gearing up for the regular season. But thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. Every day or tomorrow, we're going to do a mailbag episode. We're going to answer questions about the lineup, everything. Shoot us your best questions because we're looking forward to answering them all. Like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know how we're doing. Anywhere you get your podcast, 5-star review would be much appreciated. So, again, appreciate y'all. Everybody have a good evening, and we'll see you guys next time. Hail to the Wizards, and peace.